Hey guys, so I'm going to do a granny square tutorial video. This is just a granny square I had been working on. It's going to be a shawl eventually if I get back to it. But granny squares are pretty easy. This is like the original granny square. You start in the middle and you build out, which is kind of cool because like you can stop at any point and do another one in a different color and sew them together and yeah, different things. So I am going to set that aside and hopefully I'm trying really hard not to make shadows in the video because I cannot seem to find a good spot right now. I usually like to use more natural light and I'm all tangled. Okay. Woo. Way to start the video, Katie. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is get our yarn onto our hook. Like that. And then you don't want this to be too tight. Chain 4. Jared, can you let Teddy in? Then you're going to go back into the first chain, grab the yarn, and pull through both to make a circle. You can see that. So now you're going to chain 3, which is going to be the beginning of your first set of 3 double crochets. So count this as a double crochet. Then do 2 more into the ring. Then I chain 2 here. And you got to think of this as the first corner. In your first round, you're only going to have 4 corners. And that's all the stitches you're going to have are the corners, essentially. So you chain 2, and now we do 3 double crochets into the center. 2, 3. Now 2 double crochets, or chain 2, I'm sorry, and then 3 more double crochets. Then that's 3. So now you're going to chain 2 and do 3 more double crochets into the center, and that'll be your final corner. So for first round, you want to make sure that you have 4 sets of 3 double crochets, and then you're going to have, before you join, you'll have 3 chain 2 spaces. So now we're going to chain 2, and now this is where I do it a little differently. A lot of people would connect it into the chain, and maybe I'm just lazy, but I'm just going to go in front of that double crochet, so like in between the chain and the first double crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch through like that. Alright, now you're going to chain 3 and turn your work, which is another thing not everyone does, but I find that like if you don't flip your work, it will kind of go wonky as you grow your project. So now we're going to do 2 double crochets into, this is now a corner chain 2. So for our corners, you do 3 double crochets, chain 2. Now we're going to do 3 more double crochets back into that same chain 2 space. So you can see here's our corner space, corner space, corner space, corner space, and we essentially just made another corner space for the next round. And because this is our second round, you don't have anything in between the corners. So we're going to do this little set 3 more times. Okay? The only difference is now, so instead, this is a corner set. we're going to only chain 1 in between the corner sets instead of in the previous round we chained 2 between everything because we were making a corner. This essentially is going to be a set of 3 worked into it later that is not a corner. So chain 1 there and then do 3 into the corner, chain 2. And chain 2 because you're in a corner, and double crochet 3 back into that corner, chain 2. Now again chain 1 because that's going to be where we build our first non-corner set of 3, and double crochet 3 into the corner. And chain 2. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. I'm still learning like how to teach. And 3 back into that corner stitch. 2 and 3. Again, chain 1. And this is our final corner stitch for this round. Now chain 2, back into the corner. Okay. And as you can see, we're ending it between the 2 corners, so we just want to chain 1. And then again, I go on the inside of the chain from the previous row and slip stitch to close. There are your first 2 rounds. All right, so next you're going to chain 3. And then turn your work. So this is the first space that is not a corner. So you're going, this counts as your first double crochet. So now you do 2 more into that space. Okay, so there is your first. This is not a corner. So because it is not a corner, we chain 1. You only do chain 2s in the corners. And here is a corner, so we're going to do our little set of 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. Okay, so now this is not a corner, because you have your 4 corners here, so everything in between you chain 1 and then you do 3 double crochets into that space and chain 1. Then we are at a corner, so we do our set of 3. Hopefully you can see me. I can't even see what I'm doing. Chain 2, because it's a corner and you're making the new corner for the next row. Chain 3. Then chain 1, because now we're going to a space that is not a corner. 2 and 3, chain 1, our set of 3, oops, chain 2, because you're making the new corner. Sorry, I'm trying to go fast because I only have so much allotted upload space. Chain 1, not a corner here, so we do 3, chain 1 into the corner, chain 2, okay, and so now we are back to the beginning, and because we're not going to a corner, we chain 1, and then again, here's our chain. I go through the chain, grab, and slip stitch. So now we have 3 rounds. Here is the first round. You can see those 4 stitches. Then the second round, and now here's the third. Here are the 4 corners, and every round you're going to increase the spaces between the corners. So like we didn't have any, then we had we didn't have any in that one, sorry. Then we had 1, and then now, as you can see, we have 2 non-corner spaces. So these are all going to have just 3 double crochets into them with chain 1s on either side. And then again into the corners, you're going to do the chain, or 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then I'll write the pattern down in the description bar. And it's helpful for me to write them out sometimes, just so that I can like follow along. Yeah, so that's like your basic square, and then you just keep growing it. So like the next row will have 3 in between the 2 corners, and then 4, and then 5. Like it just is going to grow depending on how big you want it. I hope that was helpful. I'm still learning, so if you have any tips or things you would like to see me do when I make tutorials, that would be great. Thanks, bye.